you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. Here we are together again on the radio. I have a story many of you sent in to me. Many of you sent this story in. I'm glad to see that you read diverse publications. You catch these articles that you know would work on this program as topics. And I pound some. Many times you send me stories I've never seen. And when 50 or 100 of you all send the same story, in this case a story that originally appeared in the New York Times and then was syndicated to a variety of newspapers, I know it's something we've got to talk about. And that's what we're going to do right here. This story, again from the New York Times. Cynthia Liu is precisely the kind of high achiever Yale wants. She's smart. She has 1510 SAT scores. Disciplined, a 4.0 grade point average. Competitive. She's a finalist in Texas oratory competition. She's musical. She's a pianist. She's athletic, a runner. And altruistic. She's a hospital volunteer. And at the start of her sophomore year at Yale, Cynthia is full of ambition, planning to go to law school. So will she join the long tradition of famous Ivy League graduates? Not likely. By the time she's 30, this accomplished 19-year-old expects to be, get this, a stay-at-home mom. My mother's always told me you can't be the best career woman and the best mother at the same time, Cynthia said matter-of-factly. You always have to choose one over the other. At Yale and other top colleges across the nation, women are being groomed to take their place in an ever more diverse professional elite. It is almost taken for granted that, just as they make up half the students at these institutions, they will move into leadership roles on an equal basis with their male classmates. There's just one problem with this scenario. It's also something I've told you many times. Many of these women say, that's not what they want. Many so-called Generation Y women, that's the generation after Generation X, in case you didn't figure that out, at the nation's most elite colleges, say they have already decided that they will put aside their careers in favor of raising children. Though some of these students are not planning to have children, and some hope to have a family and work full-time, many others, like Lou, say they will happily play traditional female roles, with motherhood their main commitment. Much attention has been focused on career women who leave the workforce to raise children. What seems to be changing is that while many women in college 2 or 3 decades ago expected to have full-time careers, their daughters, while still in college, say they have already decided to suspend or end their careers when they have children. At the height of the women's movement and shortly thereafter, women were much more firm in their expectation that they could somehow combine full-time work with child-rearing, said Cynthia E. Russett, a professor of American history who has taught at Yale since 1967. The women today are, in effect, turning realistic. Realistic, she says. Russett is among more than a dozen faculty members and administrators at the most exclusive institutions who have been on campus for decades and said in interviews that they noticed the changing attitude. Many students say that staying home is not a shocking idea among their friends. Shannon Flynn, an 18-year-old from Guilford, Connecticut, who was a freshman at Harvard, said none of her girlfriends wanted to work full-time. Most probably do feel like me, maybe even tending toward not wanting to work at all, said Flynn, who plans to work part-time after having children. Still, she does feel torn because she's worked so hard in school. Men really aren't put in that position, she said. You don't have to have kids, sweetheart. You don't have to. Uzizi Abugo, A freshman at the University of Pennsylvania, Uzizi Abugo. I think Uzizi Abugo sent me an email about going to Nigeria to pick up my $300 million. Wasn't that Uzizi Abugo? I'm not sure. Anyway, it says here she hopes to become a lawyer, and she, too, wants to be home with her children at least until they're in school. Abugo, whose mother, a nurse, stayed home until she was in first grade, said, I've seen the difference between kids who did have their mother stay at home and kids who didn't. And it's kind of like an obvious difference when you look at it. While the changing attitudes are difficult to quantify, the shift emerges again and again in interviews with Ivy League students, including 138 freshmen and senior female students at Yale who responded to email questions over the last school year, sent to members of 2 residential colleges. The interviews at Yale found that 85, or roughly 60%, said that when they had children, they planned to cut back on work or stop working entirely. About half of those women said they plan to work part-time, and about half want to stop work for at least a few years. And by the way, you wonder why women make less money than men? That's why. That's why. That's the reason. People who stop working for a few years, their resumes are dated, their skills become rusty, whatever progress they've made going up the corporate ladder is stalled or completely stopped, and you have to start again in many cases. That's why women make less money than men. It's not sexism. It's not glass ceilings. It's the unwillingness to show up at a job every day, day in and day out for 40 years. Women, generally, with the usual exceptions, you morons, women generally are not willing to make a commitment to come into the office from 9 to 5 or more, at least Monday through Friday, for 40 years. They're not willing to do it. If you're not willing to do that, you're going to make less money than men who have no choice but to show up every day for 40 years. Of course, there are men who are not willing to work. You saw many of them on television after Hurricane Katrina. That's why they were stuck. Couldn't go anywhere, couldn't afford a bus ticket. But generally speaking, men have no choice in life but to work until we're dead. And women see that as an option. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll work full-time, maybe I'll work part-time. Maybe I'll work from home. Maybe I'll stop working altogether. Maybe I'll bring my baby to work. Maybe I'll only work for family-friendly companies where I can breastfeed in the office. Women see life as an unending series of options, and men have their options limited. Because if you want a woman, you have to work every day until you're dead. That's how it is. The story from the New York Times continues. It says here, 2 of the women interviewed said they expected their husbands to stay home with the children while they pursued their careers. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, ha. Don't plan on that, sister. 2 others said they or their husbands would stay home, depending on whose career was furthest along. Again, they clearly haven't met these guys yet. The women said that pursuing a rigorous college education was worth the time and money because it would help position them to work in meaningful part-time jobs while their children are young, or retain good jobs when their children leave home. In recent years, elite colleges have emphasized the important roles they expect their alumni, both men and women, to play in society. For example, earlier this month, Shirley M. Tilghman, president of Princeton University, welcomed new freshmen, saying, "The goal of a Princeton education is to prepare young men and women to take up positions of leadership in the 21st century. Of course, the word leadership conjures up images of presidents and CEOs, but I want to stress that my idea of a leader is much broader than that." She listed education, medicine, and engineering as other areas where students could become leaders. In an email response to a question, she added, "There is nothing inconsistent with being a leader and a stay-at-home parent. Some women and a handful of men whom I have known have done this, have had a powerful impact on their communities." Still, the likelihood that so many young women will opt out of high-powered careers presents a quiet conundrum. Conundrum is the $20 word of the day on the Tom Leykis Show. Conundrum. Look it up. It really does raise this question for all of us and for the country. When we work so hard to open academics and other opportunities for women, what kind of return do we expect to get for that? Says Harvard's Director of Admissions, Marlon McGrath Lewis, who also served as Harvard's Dean for Co-Education in the late 1970s and early 1980s. It is a complicated issue and one that most schools have not addressed. The very women they are counting on to lead society are likely to marry men who will make enough money to give them a real choice about whether or not to be full-time mothers, unlike those women for whom work is an economic necessity. It is less than clear what universities should or could do about it. For one thing, a person's expectations at age 18 are less than perfect predictors of their life choices 10 years later. In any case, admissions officers are not likely to ask outstanding applicants whether they plan to become stay-at-home moms. University officials said that success means different things to different people, and that universities are trying to broaden students' minds, not simply prepare students for jobs. What does concern me, said Yale College's Dean Peter Soloby, is that so few students seem to be able to think out of the box. So few students seem to be able to imagine a life for themselves that isn't constructed along traditional gender roles. Well, that's because the traditional gender roles work. They work. And people who grow up in homes, that no one wants to say this, it's so politically incorrect, and I couldn't care less. People who grow up the most normal in this society are the ones who grew up in a household where there were traditional gender roles. Where you didn't have to guess what the man's job was and what the woman's job was. You didn't have to guess. I grew up in a home like that. And while I had issues with my parents on a variety of fronts, one thing is for sure. The fact that my parents stayed together, the fact that my dad worked and my mom stayed home and took care of us, had a lot to do with my ability to function today as an adult. You call it whatever you want. Prehistoric, call me a troglodyte, I don't care. People who grow up with traditional gender roles are happier adults. Anyway, this story goes on, and we can read it all evening long, but the bottom line here is that many women, as I have said all along, are going to school and engaging in careers as something to kill time until they meet Prince Charming, until they meet Mr. Right. And when they do, they're going to stop working, or they're going to cut down on working. As a result of dropping out of the workforce, they'll make less money than men do when they come back into the workforce. Many of them will then form protest groups or complain or join feminist organizations. But it's so clear, it's so obvious what's going on here. Don't you think?
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
All you women up there that are listening to the show, stop giving Tom a hard time. This man is telling you guys the truth.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Jack on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
I'm not going to call you Dad. I'm going to call you Big Brother because that's more my age type of thing. But this is Jack, a veteran of the Lodge in Dallas, Texas.
Yes, sir.
Calling you from the 60s. I actually live in Dallas and work over here in Corona during the week. But yeah, I'll tell you what, I grew up with a stay-at-home mom, and I turned out pretty damn well. And even now, I'm divorced, but my two kids actually, I'm biting a bullet, but they got a stay-at-home mom still after 5 years of being divorced. And I tell you what, the traditional family, man, that's the only way to do it.
So you pay your ex enough money to stay home with your kids?
Well, she looks. You know how inexpensive it is. Hell, you can still get a 2,500 square foot house there for $200,000, and you know, making the big bucks out here in California. I can afford to do that. And actually, I have one child, a son of mine is in college now. My little guy's 11. Yeah, it's been tough. But you know what? It's well worth it, and the kids are going to be, they're going to have a great life thanks to being able to do that.
I understand what you're saying. And do you pay traditional alimony, or do you just simply pay the bills and give her some cash? How do you do it?
I give her about $4,000 a month, and she owns.
And was that decided by you or by a judge?
No, that's decided by me. It's dropped off. It's a little less now, but I'm still supporting my kid going through school. She owns the house. She got the house when we got divorced. But I'm making good money. My company puts me up here. Got a nice expense account. And I know that, for one thing, they're not going to be, the way that they were raised, they're not going to be coming back to me, mooching off of daddy. And then that's where I'm going to make up the ability to really get ahead in life, because they're going to be, have the good values and everything else. They're going to be well educated, and they're going to be able to take care of themselves. And that's when I can start concentrating on myself. I'm 41, plan on living to be 100, and I have a lot of money-making years to go. And I'm getting more ass in the toilet seat.
Good for you. And hopefully you're using condoms, or you've had a vasectomy or something.
The old vasectomy and condoms. And, in fact, I'm going to see Luis Miguel tonight. And, you know, there's going to be so many Latin hotties there that my toilet seat is going to be pretty ass-rid.
Yeah, if you want to pick up Latinas in Los Angeles tonight, Luis Miguel at the Universal Amphitheater.
That is the place
8:15. Yes, be there or be square.
I'm going to be there in the orchestra pit, front row, like I always am, and picking up numbers.
Because you're going to be sloppy seconds to Luis Miguel, because all these women go to the concert and they dress like they're going to meet him.
Well, let me tell you, it's not like I'd do Luis or anything, but I would definitely do sloppy seconds behind him. Well, hey, you see all the right things, man, and hey, hopefully get a chance to see you in Dallas again and party at the Lodge, man.
Well, we're coming back to Dallas real soon, Jack, so keep an eye open.
You take care.
You too. Martina on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. It's great talking to you.
I know.
I'm caller.
Thank you.
I have a comment, or actually I'm calling for advice regarding the traditional family nucleus. I didn't know that I would actually admit it. I 100% agree with you that the traditional setup is how it works. And the problem is that I, in the meantime, have committed to a career. I'm a career woman. I make great money. I make more money than my husband. But now we started having babies, and I'm realizing this is not ideal setup. The home is chaotic. We come home, both of us, exhausted, and our kids are being raised by other family members, and the nannies. And I'm realizing that I probably didn't think it through at the time. I was committed to going to college and, doing my career. So what do I do now?
Well, you kind of got yourself stuck there, didn't you? Now, you can turn it around. I mean, if your husband can make enough money to support all of you.
I think he could. But to be honest with you, I am kind of bummed having to throw away my career if it comes to that. But it probably is worth it. Your kids definitely are worth it, but...
Well, you're also not throwing it away forever. I mean, how old are your kids now?
7 months and 2.5 years old.
All right. Well, 7 months. That means you wouldn't be going back to work until you're at least 40.
Yeah, I just went back to work last month. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm kind of, back into everything, and I like it, to tell you the truth, but I just don't like how we don't have that home to return to. My husband doesn't have a home to return to. Right. My husband doesn't have a warm dinner on the table, which I think he deserves. I mean, he's a man. Well,
he not only deserves it, why did he get married?
I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing I ask women all the time. If you can't be there to make dinner, why do I need you? When I live alone, okay, when I've lived alone over the years, I come home and I have to make dinner.
Yeah.
And so if I get married and I've got the same situation, I come home and there's no dinner, I come home and there's no lights on, there's no warm feeling in the house, why did I do it?
Yeah, I completely hear you. I mean, if we had the same conversation like 5 years ago, I would say you're full of crap. I would say, hey, I'm a woman and we're equal opportunities. But you know what? Now I'm a little older, wiser. I've done all the schooling. I've been there. I've done that. I make the money, have the career. And I'm looking at my family and my home and thinking, there is no home. There is no warmth. There is no candles and dinner on the table and no nice, evenings with a movie on or going out on the weekend. It's not there anymore. And I'm now realizing it wasn't thought through by me or by my husband. So this is advice for other women that are at the beginning of their careers or think about going to school. They need to think it through. What do they really want,
Oh, you're right.
If they want to be wives and mothers, I think it's a great thing. Just don't get degrees and then pull back out of it because, I don't know, it doesn't work. So.
I think you're right.
Anyway, so what
Martina,
do I do
you
now?
still have the opportunity to talk it over with your husband. I mean, you're not locked into doing this. You could. And by the way, you don't have to drop out of the workforce until your kid is 18. You could drop out until the kid goes to school.
Yeah, that's true. I do have a big student loan, though, and I don't want to dump it on my, husband's shoulders, too. So,
yeah.
That's another thing, my student loan. That's another thing. The women have to think it through. Don't get these student loans when you think you may not be able to pay it, or you will have to dump it on your husband. So, well, anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll keep listening.
Appreciate the call.
All right.
Okay.
Have a good one.
All right, you too. Appreciate the call.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
Your most important thing is the woman's rat.
That's the second most important thing.
Okay, so what's the first?
Your vagina. That's definitely ahead of the rack. No vagina, the rack doesn't do any good.
Okay, good point. You got to have both.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Boys Night Out is coming to the Inland Empire 2 weeks from Friday. That's right, 2 weeks from Friday on the 7th of October at 8:30 p.m. That's right, Boys Night Out. I'm your MC for this event. I'm going to say things on that stage you'll never hear me say on the radio. If you do, it'll be my last show. I'll tell you that. Outrageous comedy. Bobby Slayton is our headliner. I'm the producer of this event, by the way. Bobby Slayton's our headliner. And it'll be 3 over-the-top comedians, Bobby, John DeResta, Steve Brewer, who are simply over-the-top. They understand what we talk about on the air. They feel your pain. And they have their own takes on this stuff. They're all guys. And the result is we're only going to do this in front of guys. No chicks. Do not bring your wife. Do not bring your girl. Do not bring your mistress. Do not bring your niece. Do not bring your mother, your grandmother. No. You bring the boys at work. You bring the guys on your bowling team. You bring your nephew. You bring your pussy-whipped brother-in-law. That's who you bring. You bring the people who need it. Imagine an audience of about 2,000 guys together. Enjoy a night of comedy without the girlfriend or the wife twisting your cheek and going, so that's what you think is funny. So that's what you like. You've been there, right? Well, be there with us at the Riverside Municipal Auditorium on Friday, October 7th, 8:30 p.m. for Boys Night Out. It's one night only, boys. Who knows if it'll ever come back? It may never come back. This may be your only chance. It's my first appearance in the Inland Empire ever. Call these numbers, 714-740-2000. 714-740-2000. Tickets are also available from the box office, Ticketmaster.com. And for information on any Boys Night Out event, the whole tour, you can find it on blowmeuptom.com. You go there right now, blowmeuptom.com. But seriously, if you're in your car on the way home from work and you're thinking about this now, get your tickets while we're talking about it. 714-740-2000 for Boys Night Out. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. A story in the New York Times tells us that more and more women going to major Ivy League-style universities are planning on just working until they get married and have kids, and then they're going to stop, or they're going to work part-time. Maybe they'll never come back. Angelie, you're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, what's up?
Oh, the ratings, my stocks, my paycheck, you know, the usual.
But, of course, the usual. Hey, I'm working 3 jobs right now trying to make it, but at the same time, I would love to get married and have kids and have a career, but, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of wasting my time right now, you know, if that ever comes, if I can even find a guy, you know, so what's your opinion on that? Should I just work my ass off hoping one day?
Well, I guess the problem for some women is that, you know, maybe you'll never meet a guy.
Exactly. Or the right guy anyway, and I'm not going to go for no that doesn't make enough money for me.
Right, but
both of us.
What we don't want to have happen here is we don't want to have this is where the problem comes in. You count on Mr. Right coming along, and then he doesn't. Or you decide you're going to become a single mother. I mean, that's just got to be out.
Oh, that's not going to happen. No. I wear birth control, and I use condoms, and I'm not that stupid.
Good.
Yeah, no, thanks to your show. I've listened for the past 3 years, and you've really helped me out a lot. And I know exactly what guys not to date thanks to you.
Really? What kind is that?
Well, the first question I ask is, do you listen to Tom Leykis Show? And if they say yes, they're pretty much out of there. I ask them pretty much in detail if they really believe, you know, everything that you say. Like, I think that if the girl doesn't sleep with you within 3 nights, you know, she's holding out. I don't think it's worth it just to dump her ass. But,
well, actually it is, because usually when women hold out that long...
3 days? Tom, come on, that's not even long enough to get to know somebody.
Dear, first of all...
There is one exception. If I just want to do somebody, our first date is to Planned Parenthood, you're getting tested, and so am I, and then we can do it and don't even have to worry about it ever again.
Well, if you want to have your first date at Planned Parenthood, go right ahead, but...
Yeah, why not? That way, at least I know that person's clean. You know, condom breaks. Unfortunately, they do. Birth control is a backup for that. But what about diseases? There's so many out there. They're not cured with just a little pill.
But, dear, going on 4, 5, or 6 dates with a guy is not going to tell you what diseases he has.
That's true. That's why you make...
Going on 100 dates with a guy will not tell you what diseases he has. And I might add that while you're making him wait for sex with you, he's getting it somewhere else.
That's, you know what?
So even if he was clean, the day he met you, who knows what he caught waiting for you to give it up?
That's true. Yeah. Well, I'm kind of...
This is something women don't think about. It's like women actually believe when we date them that they have the only vagina on earth, and that we wouldn't even think of going elsewhere to get serviced.
Yeah, but don't you think...
And I tell you, as a guy, every time a woman has done that, and I hope all the women who've ever held out on me are listening now, I was always getting it from someone else while I was waiting for you to give it up. I never let grass grow under my feet waiting to get laid.
Okay, even the current girlfriend you're with now, Tom?
Anybody.
Really?
Ever.
I should start giving it up a little easier, not waiting so much.
Well, that's the point. There's no benefit to that. Because, again, you think you're developing a relationship and you're getting to know him and you're developing intimacy.
Well, I want to kind of stay nice and tidy also down there. I don't want to give it up to...
I understand that, but as I'm telling you, dating a guy 20 times doesn't tell you whether he has herpes.
That's very true.
I mean, this is the misconception women have. Well, you know, there's all these diseases out there. I have to get to know somebody. But you know what? For Christ's sake, I could be in the final stages of AIDS. You wouldn't know it by going out to dinner with me.
That's very true.
I mean, what are you hoping to see? Lesions? I mean, are you hoping to see skin eruptions? What are you looking for?
But thank you very much, Tom. I was wondering if you could take me out with a bong rip.
Here you go, Angelie. One 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. It's David on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Tom.
David.
Hey, 2 years ago, a female coworker of mine got involved with this master's degree advancement program with our company, and she was always being let off early because she had to do classes, had to do this, had to do that, and it got to the point where she was missing so much work. Not only was I and other people having to make up for it, but I actually asked for time off or here and there like I'm supposed to be able to get, and I was told I couldn't because of, you know, not enough staffing because she's got her college program. She finishes her program, they throw a party, you know, cake, all that stuff. Not even like a month later, she's talking about having a kid now, right? Then she goes and she does have a kid. Now she's taking time off for her kid, and she's talking about not coming back.
Right. Then you're right about that.
I mean, come on.
You've got her pegged.
She got in this program, but she never, even bothered. She got her master's degree, but she never bothered to even continue working with the company. I swear she planned it such that she was going to take advantage of the company and then, leave to take a baby, and everyone's going to be all okay with it. But, we all had to make up for her lack of work. We all had to not take off time that we wanted to take off time. And now, I just don't see why she even bothered to do that if she was just going to take time off to have a baby and possibly not even come back to the workforce.
Because she wanted to have all the options open to her. Maybe I'll find a man. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll have a baby. Maybe I won't get pregnant. Maybe I'll work. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll work part-time. Maybe I'll work full-time.
Well,
maybe I'll be a consultant. Maybe I'll work at home.
Yeah, well, there sure seems to be a shortage of maybe I'll do this or that or the other things for me. I still got bills to pay. I got my wife and kids. I got my bachelor's and master's degree before I even entered this job. And I can't take advantage of career advancement opportunities and just things that I want to do because I have to be the stable force. And I so agree with this. I was asked, if I feel discrimination, like racial or sexual discrimination, and I actually feel, yes, there is discrimination because men don't have the ability to say, what about this and what about that, but the women always do.
Well, you're absolutely right about that, no doubt about it.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
I got a question for you, man. My girlfriend found my porn collection, and she's kind of mad at me. She thinks that masturbation's just like cheating.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
At 18, masturbation is not only a birthright, it's a necessity.
The Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Robert on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello. Short-time listener, first-time caller.
Cool.
I was calling because my girlfriend actually just broke up with me to pursue education. And it's kind of ironic. We were together for about 10 months. And about 5 days before she broke up with me over the phone, I started to kind of catch up on one little hint of it when she had a conversation with me about how she wouldn't have as much time for us anymore. So I kind of hit me in the face. Been chasing this girl for a couple of years, and then this happened to me, and then I had a friend named Scott at work who turned me on to the Tom Leykis Show, and that's made everything a lot easier.
Well, as you know now, by tuning in, you shouldn't even have a girlfriend at 21 years old.
Absolutely. Nothing serious until 25.
Or until you attain your dream. What are you studying to become?
Well, I'm going to school to be a software engineer, but I don't really see that happening. I'm probably going to be, something definitely network-related, but I'd like to work into an executive position.
In computers?
Yeah, I'm sorry, computers.
Right, I understand. And so you've got a game plan for your life, and until you get into that executive position, that's the day, whether you're 25 or 28 or whatever you are, that's the day you can consider getting into a serious relationship, and not a day before. Because women will tear you down and try to prevent you from attaining your dream.
All right.
That's what they will do, and you know why they will do that. It's because they're afraid that once you attain your dream, you'll be able to do better than them. You'll be able to get hotter chicks, younger chicks, which you will be able to do. So they have a natural desire to try to tear you down and stop you from going any further.
Okay, kind of like woman's instinct.
Yeah. So again, don't misinterpret what I'm saying. Get laid, have fun, live it up, have sex with as many women as you like. You don't need a girlfriend to do that.
All right.
Make sense?
Makes sense. I've been listening a lot and noticed lately I've been going out with more friends and doing some more stuff, and kind of feel like I was missing out on a lot of stuff. And there's no doubt that since it's kind of still fresh, it's only been about 3-4 weeks, it still kind of hurts a little bit from time to time, but, you know, every once in a while I'll sit there and think about it and stop thinking with my heart, start thinking with my head, and all the pain just goes away.
Good for you. Robert, I'm proud. Thank you. Our email address is my name. It's Tom@blowmeuptom.com. Tom@blowmeuptom.com. Boys Night Out, 10 days away in Seattle at the Paramount Theater. Call now for tickets, 206-529-4051.
The Tom Leykis Show.